Hi guys, another great week and a good time to do some sports. Now let's start with the Confederation of African Football's president, Ahmad, has been banned for 5 years by FIFA for breaching various codes of ethics. The FIFA vice president has been found to have breached codes of ethics relating to duty of loyalty, offering and accepting gifts, abuse of position as well as misappropriation of funds. The investigation into Mr. Ahmad's conduct from 2017 to 2019 concerned various CAF-related governance issues, including the organization and financing of an Umrah pilgrimage to Mecca, his involvement in CAF's dealing with the sports equipment company Tactical Steel, and other activities. A FIFA statement read, the Malagasy can appeal his sanction at the Court of Arbitration of Sports once he has received the full grounds for the decision, a process that can take up to 60 days. So that's it for our CAF stories, and Ahmad will be facing the wrath over there. Now let's move on to the EPL review show, and as usual with my men Blake Wilton and Isaac Fanning. Blake, who is with Sky Sports, and Isaac with BBC. Now we're going to begin this talking about our Premier League teams, and let's start with Tottenham versus Manchester City, and that was a big lineup. Mourinho classic. Blake.
Hi, Selwyn. Yes, it certainly was. It was a statement of intent by Spurs and Mourinho, and he got his tactics spot on. City struggled to break down, struggled at stubborn that are quick on the break. We've seen it before against the likes of Leicester and Wolves in the past, and they don't seem to have learnt the lessons from that, and Jose and Spurs really exploited that.
Right. So, Isaac, what did you pick up from Mourinho's? What do you think he spoke to these boys about? What was the motivation coming into playing against Manchester City?
Well, I think, this was an opportunity for them to test themselves against, the very best. And, they passed with flying colours. I thought Harry Kane was fantastic throughout the game. Really, really dominant performance from him. And they've got the players, they've got an amazing bench. And we didn't even see Gareth Bale. He was one of the best players in the world. So, I think for Tottenham, they will be very encouraged at the fact that they were able to be so dominant against a City team. But it is really worrying times, I think, for Pep Guardiola in Manchester City.
Isaac, I think there were some of the players in the team that, someone like Ndombele, that we know that when Mourinho came, wasn't together with him. They were having problems. There's a famous whereby we saw Mourinho jogging with Ndombele in the park during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Has that something else brought something out of Ndombele?
Well, I thought Ndombele was just behind Harry Kane in terms of Spurs' best player. I thought he was fantastic. And I love what Mourinho has been able to do and bring out of him. It's almost like the treat him mean, and then eventually you keep him keen, and he's back in the team. And it's interesting to see because it seems as though he's having the same problems he was having with Ndombele with Dele Alli. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's able to rehabilitate Dele Alli into the team, to the Tottenham team. And if he is able to do that, then they really will have more weapons in their run for the title. Mourinho was saying that they weren't competing for the title. They were just trying to win every game. But I think Mourinho deep down knows he's got a team that has a chance of winning the Premier League at the end of the season.
That's right. Now, Blake, let's look at Jose Mourinho. Do you think he's gradually finding himself back, going back to his normal style of play, whereby a classic Mourinho sitting back, hitting you on the counter break, just doing the job, not playing any fancy football? Is Mourinho finding himself back again?
I think Mourinho as a character has found himself back, definitely. We're talking on Friday at how he seems to be, transformed at Tottenham. He was very dour. He felt like the whole world was against him, and that when he left Manchester United. But he's found his rhythm. I think it might be a bit disrespectful to say it was a Mourinho kind of, normal Mourinho, typical kind of performance and tactics. He was playing the side. You've got to play the opposition, and he played it. Those tactics worked fantastically. As I said, City, they struggle to break down, stubborn sides, that have players that can break quickly. Leicester, Jamie Vardy's a typical example. So he played the opposition, and I think there's a lot more verve and creativity that he's got at his disposal, and he will use it, and he has used it, this season when it's needed, and that's so he's not one-dimensional, and I think there's a lot more to him and the Spurs side.
Now, we are enjoying Mourinho at the moment, so we are forgetting about his rival, Pep Guardiola, who he beat. What's happening to Pep? His team is not scoring anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And the worrying thing is defensively, they've not learnt any lessons, and they've not managed to score more than one goal since September's 5-2 defeat against Leicester. They're really missing Sergio Aguero, and they can't keep relying on a 32-year-old to stay fit and keep producing. And that's one of the main reasons why, Guardiola signed a new 2-year contract, because there will be a rebuilding project, at the club. New personnel will have to come in. The likes of Aguero will have to be replaced. David Silva, I still don't think has been properly replaced. And, they're now 13th with just 12 points from 8 games and 8 points off Spurs. So a lot to think about, and I think this season it's not a crisis at the moment, and people are going to lose games, and sides are going to lose them, but City, they'll have to get their groove together and find something quite quickly.
Okay, Isaac, let's move on to Liverpool beating Leicester City 3-0. What a total dominance.
Yeah, they were fantastic. Everyone was kind of talking about the injuries Liverpool had, but I felt that they really put a lot of pressure on Leicester early, and yeah, just thoroughly dominated the game. I felt that in Diego Jota, they've obviously signed a top quality player. I don't think anyone could predict he would have had as good a start as he has had when they signed him, but he has been brilliant. I thought Firmino had a really good game as well, and was very deserving of his goal late on. So really all round good performance. I think Liverpool are still the team to beat in terms of the title race, but they really sent a message to the rest of the Premier League that we're not going to go away easy.
Blake, do you think Jurgen Klopp really needs more than 3 substitutes?
It's a luxury, isn't it? I think what came through against Leicester was the strength in depth that they have, regardless of however many substitutes they can bring on the field. As Isaac said, Diego Jota was brilliant, but I have to also shout out to James Milner, who was phenomenal at right back. He can play anywhere, and they've got players that can come in, youngsters that can come in and do a job. So I think under the circumstances that they've shown they've got strength in depth, and having players to come in and play in any position will be key going forward for them and at any side, because this season is going to be a battle of attrition and survival of the fittest. It's a luxury. Having 5 subs is a luxury, and certainly with the amount of games that they have, if they're winning 3-0, he can maybe take off another couple of players, and rest them and not give them the full 90 minutes. So yeah, I can understand why he wants it, but if he doesn't get it, I think he's perfectly fine, and they're grinding out results, which is the mark of true champions.
Isaac, let me move on to you. We spoke about Manchester United and West Brom at Old Trafford. I mean, United managed to win, but it was a difficult one.
Yeah, I think that may well be one of the worst games of football I've seen in a long time. Because United had really lacked inspiration. I felt West Brom were really unlucky in that game. The Conor Gallagher penalty decision is an unbelievable decision, and I think Slaven Bilic after the game said that he was incredibly disappointed with the referee when VAR again costing them a decision there. You know, they had their chances as well. You know, they forced De Gea into an absolutely top quality save. But yeah, that looks like what we're seeing there on the screen. Look, that is a penalty, and the referee got it right. And I feel like being called over to the screen to review his decision almost put that seed of doubt into his mind that they must think I'm wrong, and I just don't know whether that is helpful. And yeah, it's just but they were able to get the result. You know, just because it was just they were able to win. So you know, maybe it wasn't pretty, but you know, they won't care come the end of the season because they got 3 points.
Okay, so Blake, there were two decisions now: Conor Gallagher's penalty decision, and then the foul before the penalty Man United won. What's your take on that?
I think obviously I agree with Isaac, and obviously Ollie also admitted VAR certainly helped his side. You know, during the game. For the referee to obviously be asked to have a look, you know, VAR, I've never been a fan of VAR. And for the referee to have it in his ear, oh, do you want to check that? It does put that seed of doubt. Football is a game of passion, and it's also played with instinct. And I think, you know, referees, as much as they might get decisions right or wrong, you know, that they need to be able to referee on instinct and make the calls, as opposed to having, you know, something in their ear chipping away and maybe taking some of their confidence and some of their decisions away. United were lucky, definitely. You know, that they were lucky with the retake of the penalty. You know, with Sam Johnston, you know, encroaching, as we can see there, and obviously having to retake it and obviously scoring. But yeah, I'm not a fan of VAR, and it'll take an awful lot to persuade me to change my mind.
Okay, so let's move on to Chelsea and Newcastle. Frank Lampard seems to be getting it going. Another clean sheet.
Yeah, another clean sheet and clinical in front of goal. I think it's Mendy's 7th clean sheet in 9 appearances, and you can't, again, as we've said before, underestimate the calmness he brings to the back four. They've got match winners all over the pitch as well, and although he didn't score, Timo Werner was excellent, and Frank Lampard, you know, singled him out for praise. You know, after the game, he was particularly, you know, influential for the second, and that's the reason why Olivier Giroud's, you know, not getting a game, and you know, it's looking likely that Giroud will be able to leave in January. So it sets up a lovely week this week. You know, they're going to obviously play Spurs on Sunday, sandwiched between 2 Champions League games. Right. And I can't wait for Sunday and that matchup between Chelsea and Spurs. It really will test both sides and see what sort of Premier League credentials they actually got.
Isaac, do you see Chelsea being title challengers?
Absolutely. I think in Werner, they've got an absolutely top quality player. I think he showed that he can do it all. Sort of the driving runs really cause Newcastle no end. His pace on the ball, and he's shown that he can play a pass as well. The assist for the Abraham goal was brilliant. I think they've got quality all over the pitch. You know, they were able to keep a clean sheet without Thiago Silva, which I think was a pretty big a big feat, and just shows that they're kind of maturing, and Matt Lampard may well have fixed the defensive problems that they had from last season. So yeah, I thought it was a really phenomenal performance, great performance, and I think I agree with Blake. Next week against Spurs will be a really good match and a good test of where both sides are at.
So let's finish up with our last game. It's Leeds goalless draw with Arsenal. Well, I mean, if you look up the history between both managers, there's someone that is mediating both managers. Pep Guardiola was mentored by Bielsa, and then he mentored Arteta. What was the relation? Did you see any relation with the tactical play on the field?
Well, so this was a match that I thought was absolutely crazy, because I want to ask Blake, have you seen a promoted side come up and play against a top 6 side
Yeah.
and dominate possession the way in which Leeds dominated possession.
Right.
The stats were Leeds had 66% of possession and Arsenal had 34. I don't think I've ever seen a promoted side come up and take on a top side and dominate possession the way they did. I thought it was an incredible performance, and the fact that they didn't get a goal was a bit of a shame because they had 25 shots.
Right. So, but the talking point is Nicolas Pepe's madness.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to get back into the team after all that? And his manager's comments after it.
Yeah, I mean, Arteta was upset, wasn't he? He just said it was unacceptable after the game, and it really was. You saw that the two players, Alioski and Pepe, had a few dust-ups, but you just can't do it in Premier League football. In the era of VAR, you can't put your head and headbutt another player. Alioski didn't help him with his reaction. I definitely felt that, it was a bit of an overreaction. But he's a footballer. This is what footballers, are taught to do, and it worked. It was not the brightest thing for Pepe to do, and it's especially considering he struggled to get into the team, and that he had talked about being frustrated with his role in the Arsenal team. This doesn't help you, my friend. It will be interesting to see whether Arteta puts his faith in him in going forward.
Blake. Isaac gave us all the stats on the possession and all that. What do you see in that game as well?
Yeah, I agree with Isaac. Look, we knew Leeds were going to attack from the front foot. They would have sensed blood. They would have sensed Arsenal would have been there to have got at after Arsenal's poor performance before the international break, and that's how Bielsa plays. They play full throttle, which in the Championship last season kind of sometimes at some points was their downfall, and maybe the season before, because they would play with so much intensity, and it's a 46 game season that they would be absolutely shattered by the end of the season and limp over the line, and that not as much last season as the previous season, but that's how Leeds play. I think Arteta would have been pleased with the character of his side in holding out for a draw, down to 10 men and Leeds really, banging on the door to try and get that goal. Again, furious with Pepe, as Isaac said, only his second start of the season. And you have to ask yourself, how many more chances is he going to get as the club's record signing? Because he just hasn't shown anything to justify the price tag or the quality. But it underlines, everyone's going to talk about Pepe, but it underlines Arsenal's biggest problem, and that's the fact that they can't score from open play. I think it's something like 7 hours, 56 minutes since they scored from open play. Arteta tried to change the formation, put Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang through the middle. It did not much at all to solve that problem. And I'm going to throw it out there, it might split opinion, but the fact Mesut Ozil still ranks as second when it comes to chances created by Arsenal players since the start of last season is a telling stat. Yeah. Maybe it's time for Ozil to come back.
Facts. Very grateful, guys. That's Blake Walton, Isaac Feinen. They're giving us all the Premier League review. They will be with us on Friday for the Premier League preview. Fantastic, guys.
Yes.
Cheers. Thank you.
So we move on to the local stories. And the late Brekum Chelsea equalizer denied Asante Kotoko 3 points in their Ghana Premier League showdown yesterday. Kwame Poku broke the deadlock for the Porcupine Warriors in the 15th minute, but Emmanuel Clotte's effort in stoppage time ensured the sharing of the spoils in the match week 2 tie in the Golden City Park in Brekum.
And now the run is on for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Emmanuel JV. This is an opportunity for Kotoko. This should be goal number 1, and it is. It is. Referee has accepted. The ball did indeed pass the goal line. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Emmanuel Kayeke gets his name on the score.
And a skill to outwit his markers.
Gunji, 18-yard pass, it goes. What a header and what a diving save. But unfortunately, it will be difficult to explain why Gunji...
Is he going to effect it? Steven Amankuna behind the ball. And that's a drive. And that's the equalizer. has just come in from that free kick. And you can see the former goal.
Accra Great Olympics stunned Legon Cities 3-0 to go top of the league table last Friday. Gladson Awaku, Maxwell Abekwe and Samuel Ashikwe were on target for the host at the Accra Sports Stadium.
Gladson Awaku! Sweet! And it's a glorious moment for Gladson Awaku. It was obvious. I saw it with the manager. They played together as a team. And the ball, hint of a deflection in there as the ball went through the walls. The wall that didn't do his job, ricocheted off a couple of players and wrong-footed. The goalkeeper deserved it. And this man, Gladson Awaku, has looked lively all evening. And he's deserved that goal as well. Steps forward. That's a good goal from the captain of the side. Fatal the direction to 0. 23. Joined from Kim Faisal in the off-season. Let's see what it brings into the game in the final 8 minutes. That's a good one. Brilliant goal from Samuel Abeashi. Magnificent strike.
Now let's run through the results that happened during the weekend. 11 Wonders beat Ebusun Adwa 2-0 as Great Olympics beat Legon Cities 3-0. Imbricham United won 1-0 against Wafa. Brekum Chelsea drew Asante Kotoko 1-1. Dreams FC beat Mediama 2-1. Kim Faisal drew Adriana Stars 1-1. Elmina Sharks and Liberty was a draw 1-1. Karela United also won against Intales 1-0. And Hearts of Oak versus Ashanti go tomorrow. Now let's do some Champions League, and Lionel Messi has been rested for Barcelona's Champions League trip to Dynamo Kiev tomorrow. Head coach Ronald Koeman has confirmed Messi attempted to activate a disputed clause to leave Barcelona for free over the summer, but eventually decided to stay in order to avoid a legal battle with the club. Koeman, who was appointed Barcelona boss in August, insists Messi's absence along with midfielder Frankie de Jong is routine, with the club having made a strong start to the Champions League campaign. Barcelona going to tomorrow's match 3 points clear of Juventus at the top of Group G, with just one more win required to book their place in the knockout stages. Let's switch gears to tennis, and Daniel Medvedev forced back to beat US Open champion Dominic Thiem and win the biggest title of his career at the ATP Finals in London. The Russian dug deep to claim a 4-6, 6-7, 7-2, 6-4 victory over world number 3 Thiem at the O2 Arena last night. And that's it for MX Breaks on Sports. I am Selwyn Saki. Keep watching MX24.